People are saying they actually like Instagram more than they like the newsletter. So it is weird that like you've had that experience. Um,
That is weird.
yeah.
I have a few theories.
What are your
I
theories?
think one in particular is that Cleveland is a very old school,
Okay.
insular town.
That makes sense.
Um, people people like analog. They like old school, they like simple, and I think some of it is that we're being really smart about what advertisers we're approaching, and they're savvy enough to understand, unlike a lot of other people, that social doesn't have the same return. It's mostly vanity metrics. Again, you're
Yeah.
looking at like, okay, cool, we got lots of views. Did it lead to any action? And I think a lot of that comes down to, again, time on brand and being forced. Social media doesn't feel like an organic, real place to advertise. It feels
Mhm.
like an ad. And so you don't get the same kind of response, especially because, if you're watching a reel and you see it, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. You may or may not remember it. So if it's mostly for awareness, awesome. But they're not going to click back to your bio. They're not going to click to the other brand's bio. A handful of people might, but it doesn't actually result in that many clicks and that much action taken. Whereas if they're already in an email that they can just like click the link and they're there, that's an entire other level of efficiency in advertising that really good established brands understand that matters more. It's also coming directly from a personality to somebody who requested that information rather than like just blasting out into the ether. It's much more targeted, it's much more precise, and it has a much higher return on investment.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the obvious thing here is the good and the bad of algorithms, right? It's like, oh, we have 30,000 followers. It's like, well, somebody pays you for a video and then Instagram, whatever, they put it in front of, 200 people and that's it. It's like where that doesn't, you can't send an email to 30,000 and be like, oh, we only decided to send it to 200. I mean, obviously
Right.
if you screw up your domain or something maybe, but like everybody will see it, right? And I also think another really big thing I think about when the value of our newsletter ads, especially compared to maybe when people say, oh, well, why don't I just go do meta ads? Which, by the way, most of them probably don't know how. But even if they did, it's like, well, yeah, meta obviously is more trackable in a lot of ways, and they're not downplaying it at all. But the idea of meta ads is like, you got to get them to stop scrolling, and you have about a quarter of a second to do it, right? Like, and even then, you can't really tell a story per se. I mean, I guess is that you could, but like
That
that
is
doesn't work.
fast.
It's very fast. Where in the newsletter, it's like the way we can do it is somebody's reading from top to bottom, and the way you put it, and obviously it depends, but like the brand can write a story. I mean, it's a short one, but it's like it is a story that they can tell on what they want to talk about, knowing that people, again, not everybody, it just flows that people will read it, right?
Yeah, a huge
Um,
percentage of the list will at least see it. A huge percentage will read it, and
mhm,
a measurable amount of people will take action on it. That's the other thing
mhm,
is like, somebody runs an ad with us in our email newsletter, and I can show them this is how many impressions you got, this is how many opens we got, this is how many clicks you actually got. Whereas with social media, well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
aside from impressions and views,
yeah,
which really barely mean anything, if we're being
mhm,
honest, because an impression, especially I think on TikTok, an impression is like, I don't know what, like 3 seconds or something like that. Like they don't have to have watched the whole thing. They may
yeah,
not have
yeah,
even read
yeah.
the brand name.
Yeah.
Yeah, email's
Yeah.
a
I mean,
different.
yeah. I mean, I do think if you can find those brands who just want, again, because some brands do want awareness, right? Like that is the
Yeah.
play, right? They
Yes.
want awareness, and so it can be good for that. But to your point, yeah, if you're looking for direct results, like, hey, we want to get the message out about this. We need to sell 60 tickets. We need whatever. Like, yeah, you want to be doing the newsletter to have more control of who's going to see it instead of like again the pro and the con of the algorithm. Some stuff may crush. You may make a video for an advertiser that had some good hook or something, and you got way more views than like more than 30,000. You obviously
Yes.
did better than you could in the newsletter, but that's kind of rare. It's more common to get 300, and so it's like it's the better bet if you're to make sure and be consistent. So,
I think it's
um,
also important to consider, are you wasting goodwill with your audience? If you've got a really strong social presence and then you start incorporating ad, even if it doesn't feel like an ad, if it's obviously an ad, then, people don't care. They're going to watch less, they're going to engage less
mm,
over time. Whereas I think with an email newsletter, people expect advertising.
mhm,
And it's so easy for them to just scroll past what they don't want to read.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
lot
That's
less
true.
invasive. It's a
That's
lot
true.
less in your face and obnoxious. It doesn't feel unsolicited.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean that makes a lot of sense. Again, we're just like a newspaper would have been. Nobody complained in the 90s that newspapers had ads in them. Like everybody knew
I
that's like how it
know.
works, right?
It's crazy. I think
Yeah.
about that all the time. Like everybody's just like, "Oh, I'm so sick of being advertised to." Well, you were being advertised to constantly before. It was just
Yeah,
in a totally different format, and it was a lot
exactly.
easier for you to ignore.
Exactly.